I95.5 FM presents Inside Insurance. Listen now as John Gill teams up with Guardian Group insurance experts to tell you all you need to know about insurance. Here now is Inside Insurance.
All right, and welcome to Inside Insurance. It's just about 31 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. And yes, as the ad said, I have a Guardian Life expert in studio with me, and today we'll be talking critical illness. And good afternoon to you, Greg. And that insurance expert this afternoon is Mr. Gregg Mannette. He's been here before with a different hat, but he's been here before. So welcome again to the studios of I95, Greg.
Thanks, John, and good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. It's good to be here to share some information regarding this important aspect of financial planning.
Yeah. Now, we have been doing this program a couple of weeks now. So, folks, we'll be taking your calls live. And also you can send to the text board as well at 4955. You can also email insideinsure@gmail. If you have any other questions or queries that you have, you can send them there. Or we'll be opening up the phone lines in a little while as we continue to talk with Greg. And this afternoon we're talking critical illness. And remember, this program is brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group.
It is funny how when you are young, you think you will live forever. My name is Janice Berkeley Ives. I am a mother, a public servant, and I'm also a widow. Until my husband's death, I really did not know much about insurance. But his foresight and his relationship with Guardian Group truly changed my life. You see, my husband died 6 weeks after our third child was born. And it was the insurance policies from Guardian Group that allowed us to continue living and enjoying life after his passing. Every day I thank him for thinking of our future. Maybe it is time you think about yours.
Call your Guardian Group agent at 800-5433. Guardian Group. Live easy.
All right, so we're back and we're talking critical illness this afternoon. And Greg, let's jump right into it. What is critical illness? What is critical illness insurance?
Yep. The insurance attends to the illness, and it's a more modern form of life insurance that allows the insured to be able to receive a lump sum essentially upon the diagnosis of an illness or the occurrence of an accidental injury. So, in a nutshell, it's being able to be paid whilst you're alive, as opposed to
being paid when you die.
Well, your
beneficiary being paid when you die. But from an insurance perspective, which illnesses are categorized as critical illnesses and why? Well, let's deal with which ones are categorized as critical illnesses.
Well, the critical illnesses, as the name implies, would be things that could really seriously put a dampener on either your income earning ability or your cash reserves that will be present during the course of your life. That would be better left for other uses. So that it deals with those types of illnesses, which could be categorized as illnesses, things that happen from within the body, and injuries, which happen from outside of the body or occur from an external source. So that both things are covered under that critical head.
As critical illnesses.
Yes.
And so you're saying anything that can seriously impact your earning ability or, as you put it, your reserves that would have been used for other...
useful purposes, to advance life, education, things like that,
like that
for families.
Now, why? Why are those occurrences termed critical illnesses?
Simply because it attacks the vulnerability of our human life. Those things would be cancers, heart attacks, strokes. The things that really have you down and out, and would not be able to be a cheap fix or an easy alternative to be fixed. Now, we have to understand that in the two subheadings, the illness side of it and the injury side of it, there's actually third-party information, and I'll just spend a minute to go through that. PAHO, in its Health in the Americas report of 2012, identified that the adults between the ages of 18 and 60 are more likely to succumb to or die from accidental causes. And as you progress closer into the elderly ages, post-retirement, approaching retirement, that issues like chronic and non-communicable diseases, they rise rampant.
Right.
And those things are actually synonymous at Guardian. Our claims experience has shown, especially in the male side of things, that cardiovascular disease pretty much trumps all other claims. And for the females, cancers of different types, may it be predominantly breast cancer and other forms of gynecological cancers of the cervix and uterus. So those are primarily the areas, the illness side of it and the injury side of it, that once those things happen, a lump sum of money on an agreed-on basis will be paid to the insured.
To the insured?
Yes.
Right. All right, so what is the difference then, the basic difference between critical illness insurance and health insurance?
Well, health, it's easier to start from the health side, because most people have been part of or know of or could understand the uses of a health plan. And that health plan will take care of the more cough and cold, as we call it, day-to-day doctor's visits, routine stuff, diagnostic works to make sure that your body's working properly. The blood tests, the lab tests, the MRIs, all those things are covered under health insurance. However, health insurance, as Mr. Liaping was here and spoke about general insurance, it could be compared to that in another sense, because you could only be refunded up to the extent that you had paid. It does not pay you beyond that which you have the cost you have incurred. So that the fundamental difference is that critical illness, whilst it may cover some of the things that are covered under a health plan, it is more expansive than that, and it covers you. Once it's been diagnosed, it covers you for the full sum assured. We have no questions as to how much costs are incurred or what is the quantum of that cost. Whatever you are contracted and agreed on is what will be paid out to the living person.
So let me ask you this. Can someone receive or make claims both on their health insurance for let's say there's an occurrence of a critical illness? Let's say something severe, cancer. So they would have had to go and do tests and so forth, which they would claim on their health insurance. Yeah?
Yeah. So
can they then also benefit from their critical insurance plan as well?
Yeah, that's a perfect example, and that's a perfect type of illness that will be covered. Health insurance, one of the limitations of it is that it operates under, it operates under limitations, both annual and per illness, that then brings into question the whole quantum of cost. Critical illness, on the other hand, when it is you claim after you claim for the incidental costs. So let's say the chemotherapy or the radiation treatment, those things would then have a particular current cost. The health insurance takes care of that. And where the health insurance is limited by those other annual and per illness limitations, then the critical illness would be able to ride you through. But it's more meant to bridge that gap. But to answer your question directly, John, the answer is yes. Once you have a bona fide standalone critical illness product, and you have that policy in force, you could be paid through that and also benefit from your critical illness when it deals with the same illness in question.
And there will be no issue of, for example, let's say you were paid an amount through your health insurance, the critical illness, minusing that from the benefit. Your full sum insured that you have agreed to will be paid to you.
Yes.
On diagnosis.
Correct.
And confirmation.
Because they're
so
two
forth.
separate contracts. One speaks towards the incidental costs. So if it's an accident, it will take care of the hospital bills. But if that accident means that someone would not be able to walk for the rest of their life or is blind for the rest of their life, then the critical illness will be able to bridge that transitionary period where they regain normal function or
and retool and the skills needed to carry on.
Of course, and these are things. And if you look at the independent statistics, you would realize that like in 2006, which is the information that PAHO used, that the number of accidents and injuries was just about 10% less than cardiovascular disease for males. So, it is a reality that people, if not die from accidental causes, would be able to, also succumb to accidental injuries or contingent disabilities from there.
Okay. Great. So let's see what else we have, whether we can. No, so that's clear. I think everybody should understand that there's a significant difference between health insurance and critical illness insurance.
But they should operate as two limbs that will propel you forward, because one standing alone pretty much can't do the job as well as for different ways that it is laid out and the features of it. So they're close relatives and they're complementary products within the whole financial planning process for young adults and persons who would be older as well.
All right. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, talk some more with Greg, and we're going to also open up the phone lines in just a little bit. Remember, this program, Inside Insurance, is brought to you with kind compliments of Guardian Group.
As insurance agents, we sometimes wonder if we fully appreciate what we do when we make a sales call, and how that simple sales call can impact generations yet to be born. My name is Lennox Barrow, and I'm a sales manager at Guardian Group. Over the years, I've often seen that it is really only when the unexpected happens that we see how important, how life-changing, and how comforting a safety net is. For some, it alleviates the burden of funeral expenses. For others, it's fulfilling the dream of owning a home or sending the kids off for a tertiary education. For many, it's simply the peace of mind of knowing that you're not alone and don't have to worry. What will it be for you?
Call your Guardian Group agent at 800-5433. Guardian Group. Live easy.
Hi, and welcome back to Inside Insurance, and we have with us insurance expert, Mr. Gregg Mannette, and we're talking critical illness, and we're going to be opening up the phone line. 622-3937 is the number to call, or you can text 4955, or you can even send an email to insideinsure@gmail.com. Right, so we're going to continue talking with Greg, and we have quite a few areas to cover still. So, Greg, let's look at some of it. Now, how do I determine if I need critical illness insurance?
Well, John, it's one of those things, How are you going to know that you're going to need it until you need it? You know, most people look towards getting insurance when the house is already on fire.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you look at it objectively as an advisor. Some persons may very well be able to be what we call self-insured, but they are the minority amongst us. And insurance, when you look at the basics, it deals about the uncertainty of the future. It deals with, in terms of the timing of when events could occur, and if we are not properly prepared for those events. So typically, if it is, we look at other suggestions as to why it is, or if it is someone should determine if they need. I think the closest guide that we have is that person's family medical history, and the incidence of long life or shorter lifespans within that family would then be able to on average, indicate that you should take precautionary measures now. And the best time to do that is really when it is you're young, and illnesses and possible illnesses with immediate family could be ruled out. So that's the main. It's a subjective type of understanding where an individual should say, is this important to me? And in figuring it out, you'll need the help and guidance of a professional, but the simplistic answers could be answered by you. Would I feel happy knowing that I will be able to have this insured, this aspect of my life insured, this aspect of my financial plan taken care of? And so the largest part is understanding where we fit, and as individuals, we all work. I mean, you sit here and do this every day. I do what I do on the outside.
Right.
But the common purpose is that we have families, that we have objectives and goals and aspirations to do things. And critical illness ensures that regardless if it is you die from that illness, God forbid it, but you will be able to have a financial peace of mind. And so beyond that, it would really be a personal decision. Do I want this? Not do I need it?
I hear you. So at what age do you think someone should buy critical illness insurance?
Yeah. Because as with most other personal insurance products, the cost of attaining it is one of the things that someone has to consider. But largely speaking, when you now start to work, primarily will be the best time for you to be able to get insurance at lowest rates, and before that, to qualify on it based on good health, based on a good family health history, that would then put you in the driver's seats to attaining what you should have as the lowest cost, But at the same time, you see, John, because insurance is one of those things, critical illness, which I didn't really mention before, that creates a cash value at the end. Some products create a cash value. So by the advent of starting younger in life, starting in your 20s, or even, this is, a parent could take this out on a child as early as 15 years, where the parent owns the policy, and the child in the earliest part of their life, even before they start to work, would already have had a certain level of value placed in that by that parent in that child, in terms of sacrifices and costs of living. So essentially, the younger that you could get it is better, because the proponents are that you're able to pay a smaller cost for it. Additionally, you'll be able to qualify on it based on good health. So that, it means different things to different people at different stages of their lives. But essentially, if it is, we acknowledge the value of our future earnings, because that's what it is, protecting the future worth of your income, then you should take the conscious step to at least explore the possibility of having this type, or extending the levels of coverage that you may have already existing.
Now, you mentioned something, qualifying for critical illness insurance. How does one qualify for critical illness insurance?
For most who would have been through the process of life insurance, and for those who have not, it is a medical qualification process. Guardian enjoys the majority share of the market, and as a result of that, could offer rates that are very competitive, and could make, take greater risks in terms of taking on new clients. But whilst we do that, we exercise caution to make sure that the people who we take on would at least qualify on the basis of good health, or what we call substandard health, which would not necessarily mean that they're due to die anytime soon, but at least there's an increased risk that morbidity, which is illness, or mortality, could come sooner rather than later for them.
Yeah.
So the main thing is health. A lot of the times people are willing to pay premiums that are higher in the older age, but lack of insurability would then deny them the opportunity. So and with that said too, PAHO also identified that Trinidad and the lower part of the Caribbean has some of the highest morbidity rates for lifestyle diseases. So we have to make conscious decisions, to avoid risk in our life, drive safer, don't smoke and drink excessively, or don't smoke and drink at all for some people, and those things would allow us to, on average, have a healthier life, and the insurance company will be willing to give you a lower premium for that.
Yeah, and also you talk about avoiding risk, and then the other side of it, of course, is providing for the eventuality that the risk does occur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is said that one of the certain things that we are all 100% sure of in this life is death.
True.
We just don't know how it will come and when it will come.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, if it's not about being paranoid, as I encourage most of especially my younger clients, it's not about being paranoid about life. It's about making conscious decisions to quantify the value of yourself to yourself first off, before you have a family. And those who don't intend on having families, it will be easier for them to determine that. But within a family setting, the question is, what is my value to myself, to myself? And then in turn, what is the value of myself to my family? And a good financial advisor will be able to bridge that gap and quantify that amount in real figures.
Yeah. All right, we have a couple of questions from the text board, and this one is, although it covers many critical illness, it pays only the critical illness person. If I am struck with 2 critical illnesses, it only pays one. Is that true?
That is true based on in the general forms, but in insurance and insurance underwriters, insurance companies would identify risks in different ways, and one of the main risks is if it is somebody is paid out once the contract is discharged, as we say, that payment makes the contract null and void in the future because it would have been performed, performance of the contract.
Right.
So that's what the texter is probably alluding to. However, if, for example, I am diagnosed or I am inflicted with accidental loss of limbs, does that necessarily mean that I would not get cancer or heart attack in the future?
But if for example, you have been paid for disability on a critical illness,
Yep.
can you then be paid for cancer? No.
But it will pay out on one occasion first, that policy will then be closed off. That policy would have done what it was intended to do.
So can one take more than one critical illness policy?
Yes, very good question. It is governed by an industry limit, which currently stands at $2 million across all carriers. So if somebody has insurance with another company, they would only be able to top up the difference that is allowed.
Okay, fair enough.
So, there's been discussion, I think, with ATIC, which is the association, to increase that across
Limit,
the board, because that was in the older days, in the 80s and 90s.
2 million now. Doesn't go as far as it used to.
Good U.S. treatment, international care with that quantum of money.
Have you ever called on the line? Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
You have a question for Greg?
Yeah. I heard you said according to the contractual arrangement. Could you explain that a little clearer, please? I'll listen off there.
All right. Thank you for your question.
So, and that kind of goes back to one of the first questions you asked me, John. What illnesses are covered? That's a good caller. Good question, caller. An insurance company cannot insure against every single illness that there is, because there'll be new ones in the future. And whilst Guardian has added, new illnesses to our plan over the years, it must follow the contractual description of what that illness is. So cancer could be defined as cancer by one, but not by another. But there's an international standard for what is considered as cancer. Once that definition is filled, which is not arduous or onerous, it is quite standardized across most insurance companies. Each company will have a strength that another wouldn't have, and we're not going into that today. Right. What I'm trying to say is that the wiggle room is very slim, in terms of what is covered. It is specific. In our case, we have 21, which, as far as I'm aware, is the largest number of critical illnesses covered. And when you add total disability to that, it will be at 22. So we would have all those illnesses, and once you get one of those, you will get paid out the full sum. If it is, as I was explaining just now, one illness does not debar you from having another critical illness policy, then so be it. You could be paid out on 2 critical illness policies during the course of your life, as unlikely as that might be.
Now, let me ask you this. In the case of cancer, now cancer is staged. You have stage 1, 2, 3, 4 being the most critical. If someone is diagnosed, for example, with stage 1 or 2 cancer, which is manageable, will a critical illness policy pay out on that, or does it have to be the stage of? No,
once you would have had the incontrovertible growth of cells, that we cancerous cells. Yes, there'll be different stages, but no, we don't segregate based on the last stage. As a matter of fact, the sooner that we could pay out will be better for the living benefits to be enjoyed, and to be used for good use. So that after all is said and done, the idea is that we can't cover everything, but there is also a waiting period that is standardized across all companies, and also even for health insurance too, seeing that we mentioned that before. So those are the contractual limitations that I was referring to. But is agreed on and should be explained before and after the delivery of the policy to the client.
All right, so remember you can call 622-3937. We have 5 minutes left. Greg, tell me, how does critical illness play a role in retirement planning?
Does it? That's a very, very ticklish one, because unlike I should say, like other locations and countries around the world, Trinidad has also been challenged with a growing aging population. And what that means is that retirement in itself, or people living in retirement, they would have the greater aspect of dealing with inflation and all the other risks that run along with living a long life. And one of those risks is health risks. So the older that you live, on average, the sicker that you will get, or the more likely that an illness would occur to interfere with what would otherwise be a happy and enjoyable retirement. We could use the example of dialysis or kidney failures. One of the things that overarches that is diabetes. And also to a lesser extent cardiovascular disease, and circulatory diseases. So if it is somebody would be afflicted with that in the first 10 years of retirement, for example, that could mean that literally all your life savings, all your gratuity
Could be wiped out.
Could be wiped out with one illness. You know, and without being prejudicial to the local medical fraternity, there are some things that just can't be done down at private or public levels. So that giving yourself the utility of having, a critical illness plan
That provides a large lump sum that will enable you to.
It gives you that comfort of knowing, okay, at least I could take a trip to the States and get this sorted out.
And also, too, it protects that retirement income that you have coming in as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
all right. They have a call on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good
Hi, how are you
Paula.
doing?
Panel? Yes. I'm going to find out if you're already diagnosed with cancer, could you join insurance and benefit from it?
From critical illness insurance, huh? All right. Thanks for your question.
Yeah.
Greg?
Well, I know that you would have heard us before, but we mentioned that you can seek insurance when you already have an illness or are becoming ill from another condition. You would not, in most cases, sometimes along the lines of health insurance, it will be covered with exclusions to that illness. And similarly, dependent on the specific thing, but cancer is definitely not something that an insurer will be willing to insure against because of the high mortality rates associated.
The only things you had said earlier is that you have to have good health to qualify. Yeah.
The better your health, the easier it will be to qualify.
We have one last question. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. I have a quick question for you, right? So I take out some just things. I'm taking out a critical illness plan, right? And I have a heart attack tomorrow. Okay, so suppose a year passed and I paid my dues or whatnot, right? And I get a heart attack the next year, January or something like that. So I have to live for a period of time before I'm paid my claim, or like 30 days or something like that. I think I was reading up something like that on the plan.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Yes, there are two waiting periods, and this actually sounds like somebody who knows about insurance caller, John. But he asked very specific questions. But nonetheless, there are two waiting periods. The first waiting period is that 3 months must elapse from the effective date of the policy, which is 90 days, according to our contract, where the plan will not be able to be paid, and no benefits will be paid under the plan. It will just be a refund of premiums paid if a claim is done within that period. Once that 3-month period has passed, even in the event of an early claim, we would still pay it out once it is ensured, through investigations, that the client was not aware and there was no clinical evidence to the effect that this illness existed. So that it's not something that insurance companies just pay out without doing investigations.
Yeah.
But once it is not fraudulent or manifestly untrue, we are contractually bound to do it. The second one is the manifestation clause, which is what that person was referring to. It simply says that once somebody has sent in a claim for critical illness, that 30 days should have passed from the time that they would have had it to the time that they would have claimed for it. Many people interpret that manifestation of the illness to mean that you have to live with the illness for 30 days, when because you would have found out that you had this, it implies that you would have lived with it for 30 days. So, that is just one of the conditions that would be tied into the waiting period. But that's what it is, I think he was trying to find out.
All right. Well, Greg, thank you very much. We got quite a few interesting questions, and thanks for all the information that you shared. And this has been Inside Insurance, and we have been talking with insurance expert Mr. Gregg Mannette. And remember, this program is brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group. Sorry.